Today we will be teaching about the disk method by Seina
and Stevie Glue.
Well, what is the disk method? The disk method is one of the methods used to find the volume under a curve when the object is revolved around an axis of rotation, or in other words, calculating the volume of a solid of revolution of a solid state material when integrating along the axis of revolution. However, there are two keys that you must remember while using this method. The first one is the rectangular strip must be connected to the axis of revolution. And the second one is the rectangular strip must be perpendicular to the axis of revolution.
The equation to find the volume of a graph in terms of x is pi times the integral from a to b big R of x squared dx, and that is for revolving around a vertical line. And you have to make sure that this is in terms of x because of dx. If you're revolving around a horizontal line, it's the same equation, pi integral from a to b, but it's big R of y dy instead of dx. And that's to do with revolving around a horizontal line, and make sure you do this in terms of y.
To find the big R, or the area from point A to B in terms of x, you must subtract the bottom equation from the right. Similarly, in order to find the R in terms of y, you must subtract the left equation from the right.
What is the volume bounded by the curves y equals x squared minus 1 and y equals 2x plus 7 about the x-axis? Volume equals pi integral from a to b of top minus bottom squared dx. You're going to want to solve for x by setting the two equations equal to themselves and then setting them equal to 0, and you end up getting that x equals 4 and x equals negative 2. So volume equals pi integral from negative 2 to 4 of 2x plus 7 minus x squared minus 1, and all of that is squared dx. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to distribute the squared, and so you get that volume equals pi times the integral from negative 2 to 4 of x to 4th minus 4x cubed minus 12x squared plus 32x plus 64 dx. Then what you're going to want to do is integrate, and when you're finished doing that, you get that it equals 1,296 pi over 5.
The next example will be to find the volume of a solid when revolved around x equals 1, meaning that we will use the equation in terms of y. Because the lower half is a square, we will separate the lower half and the upper half, making two separate integrals and then adding them together, getting the equation of pi of integral from 0 to 1 of 1 squared dy plus pi of integral from 1 to 2 of 1 minus square root of y minus 1 squared dy. Again, this is the lower and the upper half separate. When you integrate them and then plug each a and b values into the integrated equation, the final answer you will get is 7 pi over 6.
Find the volume of the solid formed by revolving the region bounded by f of x equals 2 minus x squared and g of x equals 1 about the line y equals 1. Just keep in mind area equals the integral from a to b of f of x minus g of x dx. And the volume is just the area squared times pi. So volume equals pi times the integral from a to b of big R of x squared dx, which equals pi integral from negative 1 to 1 of 2 minus x squared minus 1, and all of that's squared dx. Then you solve for that and find out the volume equals the integral from negative 1 to 1 minus x squared times pi. After that, you just do some simple algebra and integrate your problem, and you end up finding out that it equals 16 pi over 5.
An example will be to find the volume of a solid formed by revolving the region about the x-axis. The original equation of a volume is given by pi of integral from a to b of rx squared dx. Since the two endpoints of x is 0 to 2, these numbers will be substituted into a and b. After you plug in y equals 4 minus x squared into r of x, the equation would be pi times integral from 0 to 2 of 4 minus x squared dx. And once you distribute it, it will become pi times integral from 0 to 2, 16 minus 8x squared plus x to the 4th dx. And once you integrate it, it will become pi times from 0 to 2 of 16x minus 8x to the cube over 3 plus x to the 5th over 5. Plugging 2 and 0, subtracting the 1, substituting 0 from the 1, substituting 2, and then multiplying it pi, the final answer will become 16 pi over 3.
Find the volume of the solid generated by revolving the region bounded by the graphs of the equations x times y equals 6, y equals 2, y equals 6, and x equals 6. Okay, so first I'm just going to make a t-chart. When x is 1, y is 6, when it's 2, y is 3, and when x is 3, y is 2. So now we need to solve for x. So since xy equals 6, when you divide both sides by y, x will equal 6 over y. Okay, and volume is the same thing as pi times the integral of a to b of left minus right squared dy. So what we're going to do is pi integral from 2 to 6 of 6 minus 6 over y squared dy. Do some algebra and you get the answer is 241.58.